Welcome to Penny's Two Crown, where love knows no bound. Today's love story will be about a young girl who laughed at the shoes of a poor young man. What made her laugh? Follow me as we dive into this story of love in unexpected places. Daniel Carter was a man living two lives. By day, he worked on Texas construction sites, pouring cement under the unforgiving sun. By night, he transformed into a quiet coder, building an app in a dimly lit apartment with cracked drywall and an ancient fridge humming behind him. Rent was always late, the bills stacked like dominoes, and the fridge was nearly empty most nights. Still, Daniel held on to hope like oxygen. He believed in building something greater, something that could change lives, even if no one else could see it yet. Raised by a single mom in a small town outside Houston, Daniel knew the price of sacrifice. He didn't grow up with luxury or handouts, just grit. His boots were worn, his hands calloused, but his vision was sharp. He didn't ask for pity. He asked for time. Time to build. Time to matter. Across the country in an entirely different world was Emily Brooks. Born into luxury in the suburbs of Connecticut, Emily's life was curated like a Pinterest board. Private schools, holiday ski trips in Aspen, Ivy League degrees, and Hamptons brunches filled her calendar. She wasn't just beautiful, she was brilliant, at least, that's what her polished resume screamed. Working in brand strategy at a booming startup called Novatech, Emily thrived in a fast-paced world where perception was everything. Image meant influence. A well-cut blazer and a caramel oat milk latte could open more doors than a resume. Then, on a rainy Thursday in San Francisco, two worlds collided. Daniel walked into Brewhouse Cafe, drenched from head to toe, craving nothing more than warmth and coffee. As fate would have it, Emily and her co-workers were holding an impromptu team meeting near the entrance. Their trendy laughter filled the air like perfume. Emily's eyes briefly scanned Daniel, his soggy flannel shirt, muddy boots, and tired eyes. Then, with a smirk, she whispered just loud enough for everyone to hear, "Those boots belong in a museum. Or a landfill." Her colleagues burst into laughter. Daniel heard every word. He didn't flinch. Didn't respond. He nodded politely, grabbed his coffee, and stepped back into the rain. But inside, something shifted. It wasn't the insult. It was the smugness, the dismissal, the belief that a man in dirty boots couldn't possibly have value. That night, he worked until the sun cracked through the blinds. A week later, his startup, Swift Chain, a logistics platform aimed at helping small American businesses, was accepted into a prestigious tech accelerator. Within months, Swift Chain was live in over 20 cities. A Boston investor believed in him enough to write a check for $1.5 million. Then came another offer. $9 million from a venture capital firm in Austin for a minority stake. Daniel moved into a San Francisco high-rise. He bought his first tailored suit. But he didn't chase revenge. He chased legacy. Meanwhile, Novatech was crashing. Mismanagement. Sluggish innovation. Investors were pulling back. In a quiet acquisition, Daniel's firm bought 70% of the struggling company. And just like that, the man in the boots owned the building Emily walked into every morning. The staff was summoned to a company-wide meeting. Emily was sipping her cold brew when the new CEO walked in. Daniel Carter. The room fell silent. Emily's heart dropped. The man she had once mocked now stood at the front of the room, clean-cut and commanding. "Good morning," he began. "I'm Daniel Carter. I'll be overseeing Novatech's restructuring." His eyes found hers. "We've met before. At a cafe, I think." Emily expected to be fired within the hour. But instead, Daniel reassigned her to the most difficult project in the company, rebranding Novatech. At first, she worked out of spite. Then, out of respect. She worked late, often alone, trying to salvage the his identity. Daniel noticed. Not just her effort, but her transformation. He saw past the designer clothes and PR jargon. He saw grit, fear, curiosity. The same things he once carried in his own eyes. Their paths crossed more frequently. Emails turned into in-person brainstorms. Meetings turned into quiet moments by the coffee machine. One late night, reviewing a brand presentation, their hands brushed. She paused. "You were right," Emily whispered. "I didn't see you." Daniel smiled. "You weren't supposed to." From then on, their connection deepened. Walks to the train station turned into weekend coffee dates. Office banter turned into inside jokes. Slowly, softly, something bloomed between two people who once stood oceans apart. One evening, under the stars on a rooftop dinner in New York, Emily asked, "Do you still think about what I said in that cafe?" Daniel looked down at his polished boots. "Only every time I lace up." She laughed. "Would you have noticed me if I hadn't been so mean?" He tilted his head, eyes warm. "I noticed you the moment I walked in." Fingers intertwined. Two hearts aligned. Not because of the past, but because of the future. Sometimes, the person you least expect becomes the one you can't live without. We're so grateful for every view, like, and comment. If you enjoyed this story, please consider subscribing to Penny's 2 Crown for more emotional love stories and dramatic journeys from the bottom to the top. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. This is a fictional story created for entertainment purposes. Any resemblance to real persons or events is purely coincidental.